Hello, everyone. Hi, everyone. So we are finally here, and um, I can see like known faces join us. Thank you, guys, for coming and joining us, watching us, supporting us. We can use all the support you have. We are a very nascent and a platform that's still figuring its way out, putting out like very lofty claims to do a lot of work and trying whatever we can to do it to the best of our abilities. So today we are actually talking about something that we promised in our initial days, that it has also always been like our goal and our dream to work in the social justice space, intersection of social justice and climate justice with mental health. And one of the things that I found here was, I think Dalit History Month got over just last month in April. And one of the issues that we are not able to look past when we talk about mental health and mental justice really is caste, and caste and how the dynamics of caste play out in the mental health space. And the reason for starting Unlearning Supremacy as a series is so that we can start a discourse firstly, and also offer a lot of resources with whatever capacity we can as a young platform to understand the nuances that often get missed out in the mainstream discussions. And there is no better there are no better collaborators really to do this for us than our two collaborators today. One is Preeti Shanmugapriya and Priyanka Shankar. And Preeti Shanmugapriya is the co-founder of Milir. If you guys haven't checked it out, please do check out their work. Both of them are young women, and they are doing absolutely incredible work in understanding these nuances that I just spoke about. And they're both in the mental health space, and they are working really hard to bring a sense of discussion, and bring a sense of intersection and very gentle accountability and understanding in a space that has seen so much outrage and pain, and rightfully so. But in spite of coming from communities that have faced marginalization, Preeti Shanmugapriya and her co-founder of Milir, Ashwini, are doing some excellent work where they are trying to raise dialogue, where they are trying to start a dialogue around how we can course correct things, what we can do, and where can we meet. I mean, they are offering the bandwidth that they have, having come from lived experiences of caste-based oppression, to still come here and speak about what can be done right. And I am so happy to have Preeti, who will join us in a minute, hopefully, and Priyanka, who has been an ally and a young mental health professional who has always also been before this in a decolonial anti-caste reading circle, which Milir had organized some time back. And okay, hi Milir. Milir is here, but I'm just trying to add them. One second. Okay, invite. So there's been like technical glitches with Coco's lives. As you all know, if you were there for our last live, you'll know that we
Hello.
struggle with these. Oh, hello! I can't see you.
Yeah, I think hopefully we can see each other. Let Priyanka also join. We'll wait for some time. And yeah, you can just continue her intro, no? You have been in the middle of telling something.
Yeah. So no, I was just talking about how Priyanka's. I mean, it just makes me feel so good and so grateful to see that young professionals like you are coming on board with us to share the same train of thought. We're all looking at what we can do to what we can do to create a space of resolution and transformation. I think that takes so much of courage and that takes so much of commitment, and more than anything, that takes a certain kind of heart, right? It takes a certain kind of heart, and it takes a certain kind of intention to say that whatever happens, whatever has happened, I want to come and see how we can bring. Hi, I see you. Hello, hello,
I can see
hello,
you.
Priyanka. Yeah. Hi. So I'm just going to like give you like this ranty intro and like leave, and our collaborators are going to take it forward from here. But anyway, the point is, unlearning supremacy and starting with caste is trying to recognize things that get missed out in the discourse of the anti-caste movement, which is how the trauma of caste and some people who I really have been following, like Tenmuri Soundararajan of Equality Labs, is the first person who put this out, and I can't not credit her really because when I saw the work she was putting out, her book, and the discourse she was starting, I realized that there is such a huge mental health component to this that cannot be ignored. So, because we base most of our work in Koko in understanding that it is any sort of oppression as well as any sort of experience, good and bad, I mean, good and bad, lives in our bodies, somatically, in our nervous systems. We decided that understanding supremacy also begins with understanding how caste privilege as well as caste-based violence and oppression lives in our bodies and nervous systems and comes out as microaggressions, comes out as behaviors that we don't necessarily want to sort of display, but then they come out anyway. And even if you're an ally, even if you're in the movement, even if you're someone who's trying to help, there may be times when you may come face to face with some of your own some of your own inherited sort of behaviors, and how do you recognize them, and how do you slowly in your own pace course correct them? Because healing is long term work, nervous system regulation is something that we do patiently, and unlearning in the truest sense is also like it's also like long term and patient work. And I hope this is a space that where we are just making an attempt to see what we can do to get there. Okay, we are not there yet. This movement is so many years old, and there are veterans who have done this, who have been here, who have spoken about this, there is literature available. There are things that we can't even like think about doing now. But this is just a small effort on our part to come out vulnerably and very honestly and share the space with everybody who's watching with us on how we can begin to understand caste supremacy and unlearning it, and also how we can create a better space for in the mental health space itself, for on both sides. And so this is a very slow and patient and gentle work, as opposed to and it is also difficult work, as I've put it out in our post. It requires sitting with a lot of discomfort. It requires acknowledging our roles in the systems that we oppose today, and understanding that with grace, understanding that with patience, and understanding that with a lot of curiosity. And I'm very, very happy now to um, share, I mean, to have our beautiful, beautiful collaborators take over and talk about this further. And I want you guys to uh, share your time and minds with us, and open minds with us, hopefully, and tell us what you think. So I'm going to go now. And if you have any technical glitches, guys, just let me know. I'm right here. I'm just going to see if I can um, close my video and my mic, right? Cool. Okay, Priyanka and Preeti.
Sure, sure.
Okay. Hi.
Hi. Yeah, if you want, just you can go ahead.
Preeti, are you visible?
We are visible, you weren't.
I
Because,
wasn't visible?
Yeah.
Okay.
because because she's going by visually off right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
We can
okay,
see each
fine.
other.
Fine. Please go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, no, just following up on what she's been talking so far, I've also been wondering to speak about this. It's very interesting as a topic, and yeah.
And for me, what came into my mind while listening to what Saranya was sharing from her heart, firstly, I need to thank her and her platform to initiate such a thing called Unlearning Supremacy, because unlearning is a messy process. It has a lot of layers. It has its lot of hard work, nuances around it. It's really difficult to even comprehend within this verbally. It's such a tough process, as we all know, uh, and me personally getting to know Priyanka is through the tough process that she's ready to invest her energy and time and willingness and commitment into it. So in that way, if this interaction or conversation is going to be something very meaningful and very safe for me personally, that it's because of uh, the kind of unlearning or the kind of relational safety myself and Priyanka built in the decolonial and anti-caste reading circle, where she showed up with her authentic self and we spoke a lot. We built that trust and safety with each other. And that is itself a small win or even a big win for this conversation to happen in a public forum. So, because this is a sensitive subject, because no one is very much, no one is, it's not easy for anyone to engage in vulnerably in a platform, like in any of the social media platform. But we are coming here with some intentions and some, contributions from wherever we are right now towards to that. As a professional, I do not engage. I currently am not engaging in one-on-one, providing one-on-one therapy, or neither had my experience on anti-caste affirming or therapy, providing therapy in specific to anti-caste affirming, or I didn't have a client who's coming from that kind of a caste-based trauma. So this is where I come from. My lived experience of where I come from in terms of a community and a mental health professional. I like to um, use this space to let the space consciously, let the space unfold its own flow of thoughts and things that today we are meant to hear, or we are meant to discuss. And thank you for that opportunity, Saranya and Priyanka.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks to both of you, because I feel that as we are discussing about a lot and comes up in therapy, which is such a very, very vulnerable space, it is still we have so much, uh, I would say, fear to talk about this and how it shows up. I'm very curious. That's the reason I joined the circle. I want to know how does it show up, how it contributes into the practice, what is the power play involved, and everything together. How are we, trying and understanding it every step of the way, so that uh, we start our unlearning somewhere, and it goes right from the time that a client maybe fills out a form and reaches out for therapy to understand the background and the nuances in history taking, and how are we going to. I'm also curious about how that can contribute into understanding uh, the experiences in a more gentle manner. So I'm thinking about that. And anything else you have, Preeti?
Yeah, so I think we can begin from by addressing the kind of inhibitions and hesitations that we as therapist community, or we as mental health professionals ourselves having the kind of
Yeah.
taboo towards
Yeah.
even to talk about caste, or to even have have a conversation around it. That itself is like a stigma, and it's like a
Yeah.
taboo within ourselves. Like we are telling, like we are advocating to destigmatize mental health uh, in the society. We are trying to advocate for many things to get rid of taboo around it, but we ourselves carry that taboo of um, talking very important. In fact, casteism is very much it's a, like it's like a social fabric of India. It's intermixed into the
Yeah.
social fabric of India,
Yeah.
and it's shocking to know how our trainings, our educations, our curriculum is dismissed this important area, uh, and that is itself, I feel so unfair that I feel it's unfair to to the people who invest so much time and energy and finance to study and develop some skills. So we were not given that opportunity to really know that important piece of the social environment which shapes the individual mental health. So
Mm.
yeah, I think we can we can explore from here, and slowly we'll dissect everything.
Yeah, the way that you said, right, immediate thought or immediate feeling that is associated with being from a privileged caste, and thinking about fear. Fear is the most constant emotion. And how does that show up in the space? Where is so that I'm very thankful to the reading circle, because the way it is held and how. So when we talk about that, we have to learn to sit with our fear. We have to learn to sit with the client's experience, with the intersectionality, with what it brings also. And like you said, our textbooks are only tuning us to think that this is this is that. So how do we bring that as a whole is still a learning process for me either. Like how are we able to understand their experiences in a voice that they say, and also be informed to such an extent that they don't have to over explain, over simplify things for us, so that we are informed enough so
Yeah,
that it makes the engagement easier.
yeah. So building that relational safety with the client, like coming, what we call in the therapeutic language is rapport, building a rapport with the client. And when it comes to addressing the caste context within therapy, it takes more than the rapport. It takes a sort of uh, trust or safety that really takes a lot of uh, prevention and disclaimers. I think it's needed, because right now the mental health, the community, I mean professional community, everyone is not equipped with handling this nuance. So I think to start with, we must put forward some disclaimers, like we are only prepared to address these, like how we tell, like we are good in working with adult population, or we are good in working with adolescent population. So in that way, it's important for a person who is currently engaging in the unlearning process of this anti-caste values or anti-caste affirming work. So what are some subtle or implicit ways in which caste shows up inside the therapy room that you feel affects the therapeutic process? Yeah, sure. We'll just we will we will share that experience on this. So what I was saying is, like, not everyone are equipped. So when we people who are in the unlearning process, we need to be mindful of letting our clients know what are that we are currently equipped with. That might help initially, because anyhow we have started taking the step towards being the doing the work to be the therapist who is catering to all the social justice needs. That is important. We are all preparing, we are all engaging, because this is not even included in the curriculum. Then suddenly one day, if we are supposed to cultivate all the skills within a day or a week or a year, it's not possible, and that is unfortunate. And that's a pain that we all carry as a professionals. Even me, coming from the marginalized community, also when it comes to me as a professional, when I look back, do I have the enough capacity or skills to engage just thing like past violence or something very specific to caste related trauma with a one-on-one client? I don't know. I haven't got that experience until now. But even if I get that, I don't know, because I have not prepared. I have not. I have not experienced that support from my supervision during my training or during my internship. So it feels like we are all given like a, சொல்லுவாங்களே, we are just being pushed into the scenario without even being prepared to face the reality, what actually the Indian mental health needs are. So that's very unfortunate. This is what I feel. And but taking those little steps, while taking the little step, all I could understand right now is just to let the client clearly know that what we are. For example, if we are into the unlearning process, we can let them know, like, I am in the beginning phase of this unlearning process. I can hold space for you. I can be provide that safety for you, and you can also let me know if this is enough for you to engage with me, or want more safety. If you only feel safe if the therapist is very much equipped with the experience of that, then I think then we have to refer you to someone. Trust that, okay, the listening or the kind of willingness to engage with the wounded part of the client, by also listening to our own our own ongoing learning process, holding space for this thing and that thing together. If the client feels comfortable in that, that's okay. So being transparent and letting the client know, let the client take a choice. In such scenarios, I think this is I don't think that this can be applicable to all the setups, because I'm just telling one option, one independent practitioner option. I'm just telling an example for what if this happens to an independent practitioner, then this applies. But certain, but let's say a practitioner working in a hospital setup or clinical, the person is working somewhere and they have to inevitably take the clients and work for them without telling them. Then even in that scenario also, they will have such referral systems, support systems, or even supervisors to assist them, right? If in that structured group, like the hospital environment or organizational environment, I think if that support exists, then it is fine. If that support, like taking the supervision is there to help things out. Yeah. So we need a lot of supervision for this thing, for like the young practitioners to start engaging in this sort of work, because we cannot wait until we become perfect. That cannot be, that cannot happen. Even taking a general client also without the casting also the same thing. We cannot wait until we become perfect. We all need that, the mentoring, the supervision support to help us become help us develop the skills to provide that safety and compassion and to hold the space for the client. So it all takes in process. So, but what about whether we have such number of supervisors to help us? That is again a lag. So I think we are in the middle of figuring out.
And what you said makes a lot of sense, that, given that you are sharing some details about whatever it is and it makes a client not choose you, that shouldn't be taken personally also. It is the client's choice ultimately to decide, and we need to understand, and to develop that mindset itself takes time. That this is not about us. This is not about how we show as a therapist. It's about so much more than that. So in that space, and also, like you said, like for the question that has come up, when we also sit and think of normal things, like if we face a client where they tell that I'm not able to get married to this person and this is an issue. So we don't really know, and lot of things what Western therapy has always been feeding us is you take the decision as an individual. You don't depend on people because you're an adult now. But I think in Indian as collective systems, it doesn't work like that. There are very, very serious consequences, and we need to be aware of the consequences at least for a bit. And that's where the unlearning takes place. We cannot. It's very easy to question. Oh no, you're an adult. You take the decision, and it's not that easy to come up and say, yeah. And like you said, it's very, very intimidating that we are in the learning process, but we don't know what's happening. And we also experience a lot of discomfort. Where do we go with that?
Yeah.
To learn to sit with it, and
in order for us to even engage in all the works, all the social justice based works, right?
Yeah. So also about how getting a sort of like what would the client require from a caste affirmative, anti-caste affirmative space is also very important for us to learn, and to get to know that also is very difficult. Do the nuances.
Yeah. So while when we talk about this casteism inside the therapy room, so there are so many things. It's not just the discrimination that the client might be, it doesn't even have to be something like the client who comes up with certain caste-based mental health problems, or the caste-induced anxiety or caste-induced any. It doesn't even require for a client to come up with a specific thing explicitly related to caste, even though the problem that the client is facing is not explicitly, or the person is not telling explicitly it is related to caste, but still the problem might have its connection over the the layers that comes from casteism, which I see as the hegemony over the resources, the kind of the client might face in his or her workplace, the kind of the bias that they might have been experiencing in their work space, but they're not they might not very much aware that it might be due to casteism. They themselves might not aware. And also the communal privilege. Sometimes, so a female, a female client from a privileged caste background is facing some issues in her workspace will be totally different from the same person because facing a issue but coming from a marginalized background. So here the double burden, like the one is the gender thing and also the caste thing. So this is what we call as intersection thing, that we have to develop that lens while engaging with our clients. But here the tricky part is how we will know whether the client is really suffering this is only because of their gender thing, or is also because of any other social factors, just like one of the important social factor is caste. So how we will know? So that getting for us to know and helping clients to feel safe to let us know that there lies a big gap, because it's not only within our professional group that this is a new topic, that not new topic, like now only in the mental health field we started talking a lot about this specifically. I could see fewer two or three courses also running on this, but back then when I'm studying, it's not there. Like before 3-4 years, it's not there. So even now only we are also preparing towards this. When it comes to general population, they are having a stigma towards mental health itself, but somehow they are pushing themselves to come to take that support or help from us. Then how they will develop that, or how gently we might provide that opportunity for them to also express the where they also come from. So I think in that sense, the intake form plays a major role, what we have said in the initial. So, and also it helps us inform, it helps us be prepared. At least it helps us, at least we can, okay, if we know, while seeing a form, if we come to know, okay, this person having a intersectional experience out of caste and gender, and at least we might prepare ourselves to get to seek the support from our mentor or supervisor. Will equip ourselves with the resources that we need to provide the care that the client requires. Right. So yeah, I think the culture of including this in the intake form has to be developed, but we can also give it like a choice. Prefer not to say, because not everyone will be not. We cannot expect them to be vulnerable in the first scenario itself. Especially from people from marginalized caste background, they might feel that, okay, if at all I express this, whether I will experience discrimination in this setup also. Like that also will come up. Even though logically they might understand, okay, therapy is supposed to be a safe space and I can talk about anything. Still filling that thing in the form might give definitely will give a anxious feeling. Oh, what if due to this? What if my experiences, like all of my experiences will? What if all of my experiences will be seen in
this lens?
For example, if I'm not good in certain things, like the example you once told me in the DRC reading circle, like meritocracy, something like that, like the merit, the mark. So what if I'm giving my pain to my therapist, but what if the therapist just me because I come from this caste? So I think this is where the very what to say, the very messy nuance. Here the therapist also, even though the therapist, let's say for example, even though the therapist is very much prepared, very much anti-caste affirming, so helping the client feel safe is itself a huge process.
And the fact is, I was meaning like the intake session itself to understand a little bit more details on the family, and the thing that you said, the intersectionality was very true. Like how when we tell now, because capitalism is so existing, we always tell how we have to rest. But coming from a space where rest is not even allowed. If I rest, what will happen? And in that space, we are always taught to prioritize rest. But that is genuinely not possible. So in that space, what are we going to tell them? How are we going to equip, or how are we going to view it in that lens? Like we were discussing the other day, even art for that matter is always viewed as a lens of how do I sell it, or do I do it for showing something? Why can't I just be? Like that, just be itself is a huge thing in therapy, as you know, being versus doing, but being in, it's not allowed. So to come from that space, and then when we question or when we ask that, okay, why don't you take rest? Can you don't have to take so much pressure. Say somebody is being laid off, but we don't know the consequences. Also, there's so much difference in when you're a first generation graduate, how do you approach education and work itself? It's so different from if you have your parents being educated, and I'm understanding that when they're learning, there is no support at home at least. So somehow they learn, they came forward to the job or whatever they get is so big. Now we talk about toxic workplaces and we say the workplace is very toxic, leave it. But we don't think that it is that easy, and we have to try and understand the nuances within that also. To understand what happens within the family and the interpersonal dynamics, I feel it's very, very important in this stance. How much of a power a person holds in the family.
Yeah.
When they come speak, so we cannot tell it's okay, let your father's opinion be your father's opinion. You can have a different opinion, but no, that won't work. So these are the areas I feel is very, very tricky and nuanced also, and even to, like you said, they might not be ready to be vulnerable. Trust is a huge process and it takes a lot of time.
In this helping them to be vulnerable or trusting the mental health professional itself. For example, myself not trained or participated in any sort of courses like what I came to know for the recent years related to this anti-caste affirming mental health practices. But what I realized over the period of time is people first need to have an opportunity to trust the mental health field or the professional, or just to they want to feel the trust over. Okay, I can. One day I can take the support when I need. So in order for that to happen, so that's why in Milir we felt to focus on community-based, support groups sort of thing. So for a person to come into support group, not everyone need to share everything about themselves, or even one person didn't say about anything, any of their experience. They can just stay there, listen to others, and just started to feel the vibe of the group. So I think the support groups or any kind of group spaces will help the individual to have a look at what we are trying to support them, what we're trying to, and also they will feel, okay, we are not alone. People with, so many people are also having certain experiences related to the caste harm and the harm due to the casteism. And they will also learn to feel little bit of belongingness and safety. And one day, if they really think that their experiences deserve a one-on-one therapy support, or they really want that more than the support group, then at least they will have a route. Okay, I can at least approach Preeti ma'am to ask anybody, do you know offers the anti-caste affirming therapy? At least they will get a channel to proceed to that. So that's why we felt like working on a backward chain, like rather than trying to provide all the safety and all the steps required to take the one-on-one support in the first place. Even for people to reach that space, they need to feel that they need to have two other parts before that, so that they can first come and experience that, develop trust with the organization or the therapist, and then they will take another step. So slowly, so trying to provide a way or channel for them to slowly take the steps will reduce the pressure from their end, or it will also show a hope from their end. Okay, at least I can take the support if something I feel really bothered, if really I need one-on-one support. So this is something I felt from the client perspective, and from a therapist perspective, think, okay, I am doing this. Right now I'm engaging this community or support group thing. But what if suddenly one person out of the same thing or even a different come to me that they want the one-on-one? Am I really ready to offer that? When I imagined that, I always felt stuck. I always felt little anxious. So in that way, I can provide empathy and compassion and listening ear. That's not going to be compromised. I knew that. Of course, any therapist can provide that, but um, uh, when I hear certain unpleasant experiences, few of the from the people I knew, I mean, unpleasant therapy experiences that they got when they express their caste-related issues. When I listened to it, that gave me a fear. Like, okay, I thought I can be like empathetic, compassionate, listening ears. So what if I unknowingly invalidate the person or unknowingly, so this thought used to I myself used to have respect of, I come from a marginalized, so how it will be for you, for a person who comes from privileged background.
I definitely get that point, because I feel like even when we are hearing what happens outside right now, what is going on, that is also impacting what is happening within us. We cannot isolate that experience. So when you're not able to isolate the political scenario currently, how are we going to isolate? This is something what has been, embedded in them through years and years, and then when they come and show it up, then you don't know how to react. And I feel so helpless, and that is what I feel. I think I'm so helpless, so panicky, and the feelings that rise within me are also a surge. But we need to learn how to manage our own emotions, manage the client's experiences, and like you said, at the risk of not able to understand the client. What if they feel that way, that we don't understand their experiences? And it's fine. I've learned to come to a point that it's fine. Maybe that's what is the reality. Maybe we will never understand, because it's a different thing altogether. And I've come to a point where I can say that, okay, fine, I don't understand, and this is all I can do to try and understand, and that's all I can do.
So when you were telling this, I just reminded of my experience while I conducted the first support group. Like, for me, rather than a fear of making the client feel dismissive or invalidated, I have a fear like, what if I get re-triggered while I'm sitting with the client? Because this happened when I actually facilitated a group. It's actually a mixed group. Like both the marginalized and privileged caste members were present, and the theme of the group is to sit with any of their experiences related to caste, because everybody has a relationship with caste system. Because like even to at one age, even at one point, even for us to come to a conscious choice of unlearning it or taking anti-caste stance, even for that to happen, inevitably everybody will have their some whether they like it or not, they will have some experiences within the caste system, through their families, through the conditioning that we are all getting from our wherever we are growing up, whether it's family or the play environment or the political thing that's being imposed on us, or the media. Everything plays a role, right? So in that support group, like, I was one of the participants telling her her discrimination that she experienced in her schooling, and when I was hearing it, it's like I'm being re-triggered. I'm unable to hold that compassionate space for her, because I myself feeling triggered and I want somebody to hold space for me, or I am like, in a way it is good, like, okay, it's okay to grieve for the person or grieve together to feel the pain rather than being positioned ourselves as therapist should be without someone not showcase or show our emotions during a session. We should be always bold and just listening without expressing what's going inside. So I think that is also a kind of colonized mindset. I think so. It's not very much possible in an Indian collective context. I think practicing as a therapist in an Indian context, it will be dismissive to be like that, to always be in a composure. Sometimes showing our vulnerable emotions also makes the client feel that we are humans, like that the client is talking to a human, not just so and so therapist who have studied something and sitting in front of them. And in fact, in that moment, I have that inner conflict whether I should allow my humanness or I should be in the therapist facilitator role. Even talking about now, I'm having tears in my eyes because that situation is very complex for me when I was experiencing. And that was the moment I felt like I needed some mentoring support, because having this doubt, like having, okay, I knew I'm going to travel in this path, in this anti-caste, or trying to provide some space for this mental health and caste intersectional thing, or trying to start slow, build some structures slowly out of Milir. I know I'm going to be in this route, but the first experience itself, it was very much overwhelming. So I decided I need some support for this. Like in the sense, I literally went for 4 sessions, 2 therapy sessions and 2 mentoring sessions from a community clinical psychologist who has some vivid major experience in social justice work. I went and seeked her help, and her insights really helped me to compose myself, or allowed me to stay in my humanness. And the therapy also, the 2 sessions I dedicated for this relationship with Milir work and this community work, how it's going to shape me, or how it's really how my mental health, how I can support my mental health while I'm engaging in this work.
And hearing you say that, I'm also feeling like at this point, there are a lot of times when, as a person from this community, I'm coming and I'm thinking that, the shock is the reaction that we have, where immediately are we living in 2 different worlds? Like, what is happening? Why is no one talking about this? Why, if a person's experience can be already, everyone's experience is so different in therapy. Even if 2 people are in the same house, even that is different. But this level of demarcation, when it has to be seen and heard, and the first thing is shock, anger, then comes the helplessness. Like you said, then the minute you sit like this, all these such heavy things which are so much related to what is, beyond you, you run for support. I haven't found the support yet, of course, except for groups like this, but I really do understand why the community is important, and why the community is important in places where both can be seen, where the discomfort of one type and the discomfort of the other type both have to be seen, so that it has to be acknowledged. Then only the thing can move somewhere. Otherwise, we are going to just sit with that, discomfort, and I don't want to talk because I'm scared. Because what if I talk and I'm from a privileged caste? Will they even listen? It's just so scary, and we'll stop talking right then and there. The conversations will never move beyond that.
And I also realized the fact that in order for the therapist community to equip and be ourselves available for clients from any background with any sort of caste-based experiences to provide the anti-caste affirming support, first we need that safe space and support that helps us to move through the discomfort that we experience within ourselves or as a collective. See, for example, the discomfort that I feel as a therapist, and you feel as a therapist is same. The kind of inefficiency we feel as a therapist because we haven't provided enough support or trainings from our colleges or from the trainings that we trusted and took. Okay, so in terms of as a therapist, we are in a same page of experiencing the helplessness and discomfort. And as a individual persons coming from different backgrounds, the discomfort is different, but still we carry a different kind of discomfort. So in order for that to even talk about it, to even acknowledge and share to somebody, even in the first place, why I started this decolonial anti-caste reading circle is not for others. Firstly, it's for me. I don't have anybody in my like I cannot go suddenly call my friend and talk about this, or I cannot expect just because they are my good colleague or friend. I don't feel the safety to talk about the casteism. I don't know what not mindset. Like I don't know whether they will prioritize talking about this or not. So I felt so alone in this process. So that's the first place. First of all, I need people to talk or share my experience or my bodily discomforts or the kind of things that I go through as I read some intense pages about this. So that kind of support that we need to develop between ourselves, and we need to get the support from any of the seniors who ever had experience in working with such things. For example, we can get the support from social workers because I think it's not very. We can get the support from diverse professionals, not only limited to the psychologist in one-on-one setup. At least we can get the support from social workers because they have a lot of field experience. Of course, they might have a lot of field experience in a group setup, but actually working with the marginalized communities, they will definitely have that. We need to resource. We need to create a resource list, or I wish if somebody creates also, it's fine for me. It's like mature, like I really want that thing. First of all, we need to create the resources for ourselves to receive that support from any other professions who's willing to guide us, willing to mentor us, willing to, be there for us when we are really going through something, some discomfort. And then I think it's easy to be the same for the client rather than any techniques or approaches. Because I feel here the big big piece between us and the clients, or not in the approaches or technique. It's about the kind of place, the intergenerational trauma that we got, the conditioning we got from our family lines or from the thing, and the client who will be experiencing, or definitely they would have some sort of conditioning through their families or from their ancestors. And that biggest block, that's I got it. That block between us and them is not actually in the approaches or different techniques, but actually it's if we have the space to resolve our weight or burden, or we have our space to process the discomfort or pain or any kind of guilt or shame that we carry, then it's easy for us to engage with a client. That be just present for them with whatever they are coming up with. So in this thing, we need, if at all we have the privilege to take therapy for ourselves regularly, we can take that support in one angle. But we need the collective mentoring, the kind of collective supervision. I
think it's a long way to go. I think we just started, and by no means like we are any experts. And I'm just thinking that this is how we have to start. I think even feeling anger, feeling really impatient. I'm feeling impatient. I'm feeling anger. I'm feeling, the whole weight of the issue. I think it's really a long way to go.
But I think it's possible through little,
little.
not little steps that we need to take alone, but a little step if we take together, then I think it is still possible in whatever capacity, with whatever capacity we have. We no need to push ourselves, but like what we are doing now, a little step, just coming together and sitting and talking it out, the feelings, the raw feelings, with our own vulnerabilities and fear and anxiety. I think this sort of stuff, which we have already begun in the TRC reading circle, but also trying to put the same over here uh, in the public thing, letting people also listen to what we struggle as therapists. It's not a personal failure, but it's more of a systemic failure that we are left with. That we are left alone now to figure out all by ourselves.
And I feel that at least when no one has taught us, like you said, there's nothing in the whole syllabus of what we have learned. There's no touching of this intersectionality. Touch பண்ணது கஷ்டம். இல்ல இந்த level it is not happening. So I think.
And also when I was preparing, when I was reading some articles related to this topic, I come across some so important points which I really needed to share here. So in order for such a thing to develop within the curriculum structure or within the trainings, then the voice of DBA community within the therapist, like for starting from the DB, so the more of marginalized individuals should join the psychology course, first of all, psychology or any kind of mental health course. Then we need to build that, like increasing the number of DBA students in psychology, so that providing the reservation for them in the psychology or any other mental health field, because lot of time what happens or what prevents marginalized caste individuals to get into this field is because this doesn't give the immediate economic stability. Even now, we are facing this. We cannot immediately earn a reliable income if we are practicing independently. So we can get that reliable income if we practice it in a organization or hospital, but it will carry a lot of burnout or mental load for me personally. For example, some people can cope up with that environment, some cannot. So that is a reality of mental health professionals right now. So I think this is itself a barrier for many of the marginalized caste individuals to enroll into this, because I read somewhere, somebody, I don't know, somebody was really interested. I don't know whether I got to know about this thing through a written story or a kind of interview I watched yesterday, but somebody told that they really was interested in psychology and mental health field, not field, but the curiosity about mind and things. And they felt to study that in college. Then they have been advised by their parents and the relatives, no, this is not going to, this is something, this course is only for privileged. Only privileged people will be learning this thing. You won't get immediate income or financial stability. So you go to a field which will give you the financial stability. So see, mental health is a kind of national issue. We need more of mental health professionals, just like how we now we are in a point to realize we need lots and lots of mental health professionals. For example, we have very much less professionals in India for the kind of mental health needs. So in that stance, if we want to develop integrate this anti-caste stance into the mental health community, first I think the first step should begin from providing the support for marginalized individual to join the course. Then only the voice of DBA community will start reflecting in the text, will start reflecting in the curriculum. So without involving marginalized people, but designing the same thing for them, doesn't work.
They have to be, like you said, in the curriculum making space.
So for that, they first should have the opportunity to get enrolled in the course. So it begins from there. And also, for example, the current psychology students who are from marginalized identities should have the support for their experiences within their college or structure, whether they are facing discrimination or not. I think it's very important for them to get empowered related to this intersection while they are in the college itself. And of course, this thing applies to any, I think, introducing this anti-caste, just like we are introducing the queer affirming and neuro affirming colleges now itself. I think this will be introduced in the colleges to all kind of students from all the backgrounds.
Yeah.
But providing some support group for the ones who are coming from the marginalized background. At all they face something, they need to have some support in terms of safety and this something I felt to share here. And so this is something, the root work, but what the kind of work that's possible and within control that is in our hands is something like what we are doing and what we are trying to do through DRC reading circle, and what we are trying to slowly try. I think the conversation have to begin within any of the mental health professional to talk about casteism, how it's impacted mental health. It should be I think that's the first step that anyone can easily on their own space. I think this doesn't even require for them to even join some forum, but just initiating the conversation within their colleague, their within their circle, and trying to learn from their day-to-day experiences of casteism. I'm telling even the privileged experiences, just being aware of how the caste is shaping their life, whether it's giving privilege or not, whether it's giving whether it's giving pleasant experiences or not, or unpleasant experiences or not, just watching how it plays out a role. That kind of awareness itself prepare any individual to be little bit of caste aware. And also by listening to the socio-political scenario, what we are experiencing today, just being
aware and mindful,
open enough to watch what's happening around us, people around us, or within our own family, because most of this casteism, like we all, as I said, we all have the relationship with casteism because it's obviously the family. So being aware of how the family also carries that implicitly or explicitly, developing that awareness also helpful, whether to when we actually work with a client. End of the day, developing what we are as a person, that's going to reflect in our practice, like what we are going to. So I think the toughest part of embodying the anti-caste values is we cannot simply study or get trained. It is something that's why it's not easy for everyone to embrace it, I guess, because there lies the biggest inner conflict for anybody. Like, even if they start reading about it, then immediately they will get defined. Oh, this is what yesterday my family did, and I'm also teaching that. I'm also allowing that. So day to day being part of a casteism, and then how can I immediately stand for anti-casteism?
And even if I want to stand, am I even safe? Where do I begin? Where do I say? What do I do? Do I sound like a hypocrite? All the voices are there.
Do I sound like a hypocrite or double standard? Yeah, that's a valid point. That's a really valid point. So, but what I suggest or really wish is even to talk about that hypocrites, the experience that we feel, oh, I am thinking I want to be like this, but somehow it's really tough to say that no towards my family. To even share this kind of feelings to some to within our colleagues, or to talk about this is something very important. But even to talk about that is itself a taboo. That is a place that we are now. I think first we need to break that taboo within ourselves, at least develop the awareness, even if we feel hypocritic, even if we feel oh my God, what I will,
discomfort, wait there, you just keep going.
அந்த டிஸ்கம்ஃபர்ட்டை நமக்குள்ள வச்சு இப்படி ஒரு சேஃப் ஸ்பேஸ், இந்த விஆர்சி சர்க்கிள் மாதிரி ஒண்ணு வந்து அவங்கள்ட்ட தான் ஷேர் பண்ணணும்னு இல்லாம, நம்ம the colleagues that we already have, the kind of college friends we already have in psychology, அவங்க கிட்டே அதை ஷேர் பண்ணி, if we able to initiate that and pulling them also inside this, we have to have this, because because it's undeniably it's going to reflect in our profession. One day if we are going to supposed to uh, build that skill, then we have to face the hard part of facing the truth within our own personal life.
Yeah.
Right? Of course it's a process. That's how I think I always ensure this. We must be self-compassionate to ourselves in this process, because we are not individually as a mistake. It's like we are born into a mistake culture. Right? So trying to see it as from a distance and trying to develop the dialogue with amongst ourselves as professionals or friends between any friends from our own field. Why I'm saying insisting friends or professionals is even I'm unable to have that. Even I'm trying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So still I'm in a trying mode, the working in progress mode when it comes to opening up and trying to share something about this. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we pretty much covered what we thought that we would come, and what was this internet, what should we call up Saranya also now?
Yeah. Saranya, we love to hear your
I'm
feelings
here, I'm
or
here.
thoughts.
No, I think I mean you've covered literally like more than what we discussed, and it was really nice to see you as two professionals in the mental health space to sort of be talking about very very candidly talk about your journeys and what is it that you guys face on your own to sort of add your experiences and very candidly share even the helplessness. One of the things I keep telling off late, I've been telling my friends also this, and is that, our ability to like just to not know what to do next. The idea itself is so penalized, and it is so stigmatized. There is so much stigma and threat around even saying that, I'm feeling scared and I'm feeling helpless and I don't know what to do. And if you have to use a jargon, then like my nervous system is in a state of fawning or freezing, or if you're trauma informed and you use to collectively do that itself is so empowering. To collectively share helplessness is so empowering. I feel like if there is any constructive solution that will come out, it will be in the community to be able to say that I'm really feeling lost here, maybe like you said, Priyanka, like I've come with I know I was born into caste privilege, but I want to do something about this. But what's happening is that I'm actually retreating into a shell because I don't know if I will if I will sound wrong, if I say something wrong. There is a space for outrage in this movement, and it is sacred. The outrage is sacred and it needs a space, but there is also space for course
That's kind of
correction,
conversation. Yeah.
yeah, and a couple of things that I wanted to speak about is maybe one thing is that we have to be also very aware of, like you said, DBA, like Dalit Bahujan and Adivasi people getting access to mental health as a profession or studies, or even if not academically, being uh, equipped really with the training to sort of, if nothing else, regulate themselves. Can we do that? Like, I want to leave us wondering with some questions. I had gone for a retreat recently, thanks to Preeti. It was supposed to be her place, but she asked me to go, and it was a beautiful retreat done for women from the social justice movement, and almost every woman or no, every woman or there were women and those who were like queer, but they were assigned female at birth. So everybody in that space came from a background of that had been oppressed. So I had a similar thing, and it's not, I don't know what to say, but I was feeling like one is that I was also benefiting from those somatic practices. I was also benefiting. I was completely involving myself, but there were some people who could not even connect with their bodies. And these are people who have been in the social justice movement. They could not even connect with their bodies. And I was thinking I'm carrying so much of pain and trauma, and there's like my whole body is this. And we are having like somatic exercises and sharing and all that. Something they could not even connect. Maybe can we think of ways to at least equip people with basic things like nervous system regulation, listening to your body, sitting with how you're feeling to ease, even if immediately getting like professionals out of these communities is not so easy. Can we at least do that? Can we capacity build? Can we tell them to name emotions? Can we and most importantly, I feel like there are so many communities, communities have always had a way to learn and cope. Like they have coped with, like resistance began with like art, right? Like, I mean, there is so much of community practices like which are forgotten now. Decolonially approaching it
There are a
also
lot of
means like,
indigenous co-regulation practices that we people are doing within their cultural setup, like any kind of
right.
rituals or things. But while engaging in that, whether you know, uh, of course, they can experience the joy and they can experience the resistance, but by engaging in any of the culturally relevant already the rituals or any kind of functions, that celebrations that they're engaging in, I think the joy and other feelings are there, people could experience in any forms in their indigenous own their cultural way. But when it comes to listening to the sadness, when it comes to grief, or when it comes to that, actually we are as a culture we are forgetting that. Even those in villages, people used to do that before
Yeah.
any of the losses, but nowadays it's very much reducing. Right, I could notice that. Yeah, I just
No,
reminded of this. Yeah.
No, you're right. I mean, that's also because, I mean, we also have to understand that ancestrally, communities who have been oppressed had way less resources than members of those very communities who exist today, right? I mean, coping was the only way. This is even using this language. We're calling it decolonial, but talking about mental health and using this language is a very current day thing. When we have been when we know the language, when we have studied, when we have, and I mean, when I say we, I'm not including myself per se, but I'm saying in community, right? That has happened as a very recent phenomenon. People have been coping and coping. What, like you said, no, Preeti, remember, Preeti and I had worked on a story, and both Preeti and Ashwin are talking about how like like why mental health, why are they dissuading people from entering mental health is because government job வேணும்னு ஒரு ஏன் government job வேணும்னா security and dignity. There was an idea that it will give you dignity, right? அப்போதைக்கு like that is the limit to which they were able to think dignity கிடைச்சணும் like ஏதாவது. So a part of it is just being coping through pain, bulldozing through pain, not having access. And that is the case for most people, our ancestors, that they didn't have access to therapy, but way more so for communities that have been oppressed and marginalized, to way more so. So cognizant of the fact that all this is just like recent, and they probably are having difficulty. So community wise, like sitting and hearing, and even like to help them first come to the present, to make them understand that this is something that is happening, to build trust, are all like things that are going to only happen. And I really hope at Koko, and hopefully maybe with Milir and anybody else who is in the social justice space, who wants to work in trauma related space, if we can come together and create community spaces where we can at least begin exploring these modalities. Let this be a counter movement. Like let this start as a small movement that's happening, and it could, I mean, become like a part of anything later. But at least it will be a start, no? And that's what I'm thinking. And the last thing, I think somebody had given a question. One question we had got right up. I don't know if that person is still listening, but how does caste show up implicitly in the therapy room is what they said. I'm reminded of something someone said to me about how, I mean, I would attribute it to them if they were here, but so I will just tell. They said that someone from a marginalized community, they said that they had gone for therapy and the therapist had like their second name as their caste name, which was which was like it was like a very, very putting off. Like something as small as this can creep into the therapy room, like something as small
An
as
important
having
point
your caste.
I just missed to address because we were focusing on this, the process of unlearning, but I just missed this point. Like, what are the steps that we can take to just show up for this? Yeah, this is an important step to
Yeah.
just not show up with the surname.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a no. I mean, it
Yeah.
would come across as a no-brainer to you if you are being caste affirmative. To have your caste name as a second name could trigger somebody who's with lived experience in so many ways and deter them to even come inside.
Yeah.
So if you are not, if you're being a mental health professional in these times, also automatically means being caste informed, being queer informed, being also not understanding neurodivergence. These become like very, very basic things, considering how complex minds are. And now that we are having access to a discourse around it, language around it, now that the people are talking about it and platforms are opening up, why not make use of it and educate yourself better is the question.
Yeah, that can be also a takeaway for anybody who is listening, who wants to take their first step towards any sort of unlearning. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I guess very, very grateful again, and thank you so much, you guys. Like I really mean it. It means so much to me as someone from the outside. I don't have a mental health background. I only have mental health issues.
Also, also mental health therapy user. So that's fine.
Yeah. But watching you guys talk about this and creating this thing around it is great. And I'll thank you very, very much for agreeing to do this. And it was beautiful listening to both of you. And I hope like more people in different places, I'm sure that it's already happening, but more people come together and at least start taking those first steps. The fruits of this movement may probably take years to, but how else can you live is my question. When you are living in a world like this that is neurotypical, that has so many complexities, there is so much polarization online, and there is so much of everything.
I think we three should take a moment to acknowledge the current unrest the nation is going through, and that also has its ties towards the religion. Of course, religion and caste is intermixed. It's not something separate.
Everything.
And yeah, so it's very horrible to even to witness what's going currently. And
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
It takes a toll on your. If you have anxiety, your anxiety shoots up.
for
And
everyone, whether they're aware or not,
exactly.
it will have impact. Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully we will move beyond intellectualizing all these words and things and actually breaking it down to people, because these are things that we need to do. And they don't just they're not just born and die in jargons and like words, but I hope like they must translate into actions inherently. That is the nature of this work. And I hope that
hoping the same. Yeah, hoping the same. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for everybody who joined to watch us. It is only giving more and more courage and conviction, building conviction in our early days of this movement. So my gratitude to everybody, and especially to the both of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a lovely weekend.
Yeah.
See you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.